Hello, hello.
Virgie boy, how are you? We're going to do these organic starters, mate. The first thing I'm going to start with is your haircut, mate. You look a bit different. Either that, or you've had
Yes.
your ears. Either that, or you've had your ears lowered, mate.
No. So I found a hairdresser in Northampton, which I'm very happy about. It was much overdue. So yeah, got a haircut yesterday. It's very fresh indeed. Ready
Oh,
for
I
the
like it.
live stream.
You living in Northampton?
Yes, yeah. Moved up here about a month ago now.
Oh, lovely, mate. You're actually not that far away from me. We should probably link up in real life. Because
Yes,
Northampton's probably what, about an hour and 10 from Birmingham, maybe.
yeah, about that. So not too far now.
No, this is obviously making sense why you want to do the in real life person meetup in Birmingham. So that's okay.
Hmm.
That makes sense. Not too far from you, folks. If you're tuning in, obviously there's only a handful of us in here at the moment. If you're tuning in for the first time, it's me and Burge today. Simon's away on international duties as he usually is. We're going to be talking about crypto, Bitcoin, what's happening with the current market, NFTs. There seems to be a bit of an NFT bull run at the moment. I say bull run, but some of the blue chips seem to be picking up momentum, which is pretty cool. But if you could just do me a massive favor, wherever you're viewing this, just give it a share if you could. Just checking here, making note Wednesday. We need buzzing noise.
Yeah, I was saying.
I'm just reading. Sorry, I'm just reading the WhatsApp
as
chat.
much as I love Simon and I miss him dearly, especially on the live stream, the buzzing noise is the one thing I don't miss. The vibrating. So we'll get that fixed for you guys in future live streams. I know that can be annoying, but
Okay.
yeah, I think it's that Simon's has his phone like either on silent or something, but it's still vibrating. And then if someone messages the chat, or because what I do is I usually keep like post some stuff in the live group whilst we're on the live stream, it then dings him and it vibrates. So it's the one thing I don't miss.
All good, my friend. Well, let's kick things off then. Obviously, there's lots of news on the timeline. Kevin Walsh has been announced as the new Fed chair. He's obviously going through the process. I don't know if you saw the conversation he had with Elizabeth Warren. It was a video that's kind of doing the rounds. It's going viral at the moment. I don't know if you can actually get it up, and maybe we can share it.
Yeah, let me see.
But he's basically, what happens is she asks him some, I guess you would call politically laced questions, because obviously part of his role in the Fed should be impartiality, but there's this feeling that he's not very impartial, especially on monetary policy. So she's putting him through the ringer, and one of the questions she asks him is, "Did Trump win the 2020 election?" And he doesn't answer. And then I think the other question is, she says, "Well, could you say anything negative about Trump?" It's hilarious. Have you got it up there?
I don't know if this is the exact clip. This is a 5-minute clip.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's
But
the right hearing, but it's I don't know if it's the specific clip. Let me see if I can find it.
If I share it on my screen,
yeah,
I think if you, she asks him about Jeffrey Epstein, but like you can probably start it about halfway through. Kind of gets to the juice a little bit, but she asks him basically.
I think I've got a different one. If I go to this, look, I think this is what you're referring to.
That's it.
Should I play it?
Yeah, go on. Let's give it a go.
That is a no as well.
Redeeming my assets
so Donald
before
Trump
I take
has
office.
made clear that he does not want an independent Fed. In fact, he has said, and I quote, "Anybody that disagrees with me will never be Fed chairman." And last week that interest rates will drop, quote, "when Kevin gets in." Yeah.
This is what we've been saying the whole time.
This is it.
Not when the economy needs it. Nope. He said, "when my guy is in there."
He's so blatant with it. It's crazy.
Donald Trump wants. So independence takes courage. Let's check out your independence and your courage. We'll start easy. Mr. Warsh, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
We try to keep politics, if I'm concerned.
Your independence and your courage.
But the thing
Senator,
that I don't
believe that
understand
this
is
body certified that
God.
election many years ago.
That's not the question I'm asking.
But
I'm asking,
please,
did Donald
please
Trump
send that
lose
to
in
me
2020?
or
I'm
bookmark it.
suggesting you in
I'm
2020, the
suggesting
Fed
you can't
made a
answer.
and then I guess they just continue to argue back and forth.
Oh my God. Mate,
I'm
that is
sending
so
that to
funny.
you, but at the same time, Jayden, I've just realized something, and
Go on.
this is kind of relevant because obviously with poly market and prediction markets, you know, you can bet on anything nowadays.
Yeah. You saying there's
I
an
think
arbitrage with interest
I
rates?
think, yeah, I think you could have won a shit ton of money because
I know.
don't you remember that you've stayed the exact same the whole way through. Kevin Walsh is going to come in, interest rates are going to lower.
Yeah.
But don't you remember that even after Kevin Walsh was announced, the markets actually were predicted the other way. They said that interest rates are not going to go down even when Kevin Walsh comes in.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll do a share screen in a second. I did a research piece on this, and there was some funny sleuth on the internet. Basically, took all of his comments from 2008,
Yes,
and they put them into a chart. So whether he was dovish or hawkish on the economy, and what they figured out was he's only hawkish on the economy when the Democrats are in power. So it's like this is there's some insider baseball going on here. He's definitely going to lower rates. If you look at the backstory on his family connections, his father-in-law is best friends with Donald Trump.
yes.
Guys, just do me for the favor for the 15 of you that have dived in here. Just do me a massive favor and share the stream wherever you are. I would really appreciate it. I'm just about to chuck it in our private WhatsApp chat, but bear with me 2 seconds. We are live now, and guys, you'll notice that Simon is not with us today. He's on international duties. It's me and Burgie Boy. We're going to cover everything from, I guess, the crypto market, the stuff that's happening with NFTs. We do touch on some of the political stuff. We don't try and make this too much of a political show because I don't know how well it's received. Two Englishmen talking about American politics. Obviously, people across the pond can receive that however they want, but yeah, it's quite clear to me that he's going to lower rates. But if you look at Polymarket, Burge, it doesn't look like that's what Polymarket thinks.
I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up right now.
Do you think if he gets in, obviously he's going to get in mid-May. Do you think if he lowers them straight away, it'll look a bit suspect? Do you think he'll give it a month or two?
Maybe. So first of all, this is actually based on when Kevin Walsh will come in. I think it's spelled his name wrong as well, unless I've got it wrong. But you got May 1st.
It's Walsh with an R.
Yeah. Oh, okay. May 1st, you got 1% chance. May 15th, mid-May, 30% chance, and by the end of June, 91% chance. But here, let's have a look here at Kevin Walsh to cut rates at the first Fed meeting. This is at 18%. Well, maybe that's, as you said, like, because it would be very bold to maybe cut it straight away at the first meeting.
But I mean, it looks a bit suspect. He's trying to be impartial. Do you know what the other question that Elizabeth Warren asked him was?
I think we want this.
She says to him, tell me one thing that you disagree with Trump on. And he goes, he says I'm out of central casting, and I just don't agree with that. I'm not what?
So here you've got April 29th. What is going to happen? Everyone thinks there's no change. This is obviously still with Jerome Powell in. Everyone 99% chance of no change. Then you got June 17th, which should be after Kevin Walsh has taken over. And here you've got no change at 93%. So if you think that Kevin Walsh is going to come in and be pressured by Trump to immediately lower interest rates by like within the first month or two, you could make a shit ton of money. That's a 20x there. And then you've got another date. Now, I'm just assuming that these are the typical dates where the Fed makes a decision. You've got another date, which is July. This is still sitting at no change, 82%. So even if you don't think he's going to do it on the first time of calling, the second time of calling, I assume is what this is. What this is on the second day. There's still only a 12% chance. So like,
you can bet money on that now.
You can bet money on this now, 100%. Yes.
This is where two people have a revelation that they've just started a gambling addiction.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
this is where we've gone so far out on the risk curve.
This was me when I was betting on Xi Jinping to lose power in 2025. And look, I hold my hands up. If anyone backed me, if anyone tailgated me on after I said I was going to do that, you lost money. I'm very sorry, but I'm actually up overall on Polymarket, which is rare. Now, I do want to caveat this with I watched a video or a documentary recently, or maybe it was like a news kind of report looking into Polymarket, and boy, it's not good. Like Polymarket, I think 0.04% of people make 70% of the profits, and they're all insiders. So 0.04% of the users are making 70% of the total profits, and it's because they're insiders and they know.
I wonder if there's a lag. If there's a lag between when the thing happens and when people are betting on it, and then if there's like a bot that front runs people, a bit like when you're trying to snipe NFTs.
I think there could possibly be this year. I think that is more likely. So an AI maybe aggregating stuff that's happening on the feed. Perfect example. Just a few weeks ago, I was telling you guys I made a decent amount of money on Polymarket betting on the ceasefire to happen. And it was as I was researching for the live stream for our show that I came across this breaking news of, it looks like they could potentially agree a ceasefire. And I thought, okay. And then I saw another thing corroborate that, and I thought I'm going to make the bet because it's about 3-1 at the moment. I'm going to make the bet. I think it's going to happen. I also just thought, generally speaking, US and Iran, like there would be a lot of pressure on both of them to make a ceasefire. So I thought it was going to happen, and obviously you could see international pressure from Pakistan, etc., and other countries for a deal to be made. And
have you seen the Iranian video that they've done trolling Trump?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I saw it on the timeline. It was like, this is what's happened. Like this is how Trump's come to the idea that the Strait of Hormuz is open again.
Mate, see if you can get that up. That'll be a funny one.
Let me see if I can.
About. Clearly, we've had this period of Bitcoin trading sideways. Some of the altcoins are trading sideways for the last 9 weeks now. Probably lends itself because you've seen Bren on the timeline. He's very good at the TA stuff. One of the things he said is if you have this long consolidation period sideways, it tends to lend itself to breaking to the upside, especially if kind of like the forward-looking indicators of the economy are good. How are you feeling about where crypto is at the moment? Coins in general, and then we'll kind of move on to the NFT stuff.
Yeah, I feel. So wait, you mean for NFTs or crypto? What?
No, we'll start with the coins and then we'll move on to NFTs. Obviously, NFTs are cooking at the moment, but just generally the coins. Obviously, if someone's holding Bitcoin or altcoins, they've had this kind of slow and painful trading sideways.
Yes,
a whole bunch of people on the timeline, because I do obviously streaming on different platforms, and so I get a feel for how people are thinking. And most people think we're going to be in a bear market for most of this year, which I just think is completely wrong. Yeah, I just don't know how that can even happen. Trump's got the midterms in November. He's going to be under political pressure. He's clearly putting political pressure on this Kevin Walsh fella who's stepping into office, who is also a Republican. So he's a weather vane. So he'll just do whatever Trump wants him to do. But he has. It's interesting. I was watching. Like a 2-hour podcast with this Kevin Walsh, and one of the things he says is that the Fed should be running the same playbook as that Alan Greenspan, the guy in '95, who could see anecdotal evidence of the internet improving business conditions. He says the same thing is happening with AI. So a lot of the stuff he's saying is plausible for the reason for reducing rates, which I think is really interesting because actually there's merit in that, because clearly AI is improving business conditions. because the economy is holding up strong. The ISM is kind of ticking upwards, and that's like an index into how the economy is doing. I just want to say good morning to Victoria, who's chucked a good morning in there, and also thanks to Tay for sharing the stream, folks. Just for the 31 of you that are in the live stream, just do me a massive favor, just repost it wherever you are. Obviously, we do these live streams 8:30 Eastern time every Wednesday, and obviously we're missing Simon today. He's off on international travels. I think Burge, the message you sent in our chat to Simon is probably missed in translation there or something.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Going back to the crypto, I feel like it's wrong. I don't think that crypto is stuck in a bear market for the rest of the year. Now, saying that, I could see a world in which, you know, Trump continues to, with his antics, potentially cause disruption that would hurt the economy and impact crypto prices. But at the same time, I'm now seeing on the timeline that he feels like he's done with the war and he kind of wants out now. So if that happens, obviously that would be positive for macro, like the global economy. And then with what we were talking about, with the fact that Kevin Walsh is coming in and interest rates could lower, I feel like it's a lot of things are aligning positively for NFTs and for crypto.
Yeah. The thing with NFTs is obviously we've had this little period here with Phygital, this kind of hybrid model of people collecting alternative assets. These assets are running up to astronomical prices, so people are just opting to buy the digital version. Obviously, these marketplaces, because not many people are redeeming the physical, so they're not sending the digital in for the physical. What they're finding is they can back the NFTs up to like 90% liquidity, so people can sell the NFT back into the market, and it's creating a pretty cool ecosystem where people are just opting to go for the digital, and they're not bothered about the physical asset, which I think is really interesting because it just leans itself towards, well, you're just going to buy NFTs. Rebecca Stewart, morning, fellas. Thanks for the good mornings, guys. Just folks, for a bunch of you in there or watching the live stream, just do me a massive favor. Just please share it wherever you are. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin, crypto, NFTs, mostly NFTs. We're probably going to dive deep into the NFT stuff because it seems to be popping off. There's just renewed hope on the timeline. If I do a bit of a share screen, I know that you want to. Wild Honey, thanks for reposting the stream. Really appreciate it. I'm just going to do a share screen myself. Just have a look at some of these gains in NFTs. People don't want to believe it, Burge, but it's happening right in front of our faces.
I couldn't find the troll video, unfortunately. I've been searching. I did have it on my timeline, but it's one of those things. Do you ever find that thing of like your timeline refreshes and you can't find the video that you once saw? I get that a lot.
No, I get that with X a lot. I think that's a problem with X, mate. You flick on it, you want to watch it, and then it's reloading, and then it goes. And you're like, fuck. But I'm just going to share this. This is what's obviously happening in the NFT market at the moment. And Burge, I can kind of get your thoughts on it. But I mean, look at this: 13% on Punks, 109% on Bored Ape Yacht Club, Pudgy Penguins 29%, Autoglyphs up 25%, Mutants up 114%. I will take a massive amount of credit for that Mutant Ape blog that I did, and a whole bunch of people got into Mutants, and they're hopefully up. Mate, 1.38 Ethereum. These were at 0.6, 0.7 when we had that liquidation event. Chromie Squiggles.
Do you remember how much in dollars it was back then as well? Was it about half, or was it a little bit different?
I don't remember the dollar amount. I don't know what the low on the dollar was because I just check it in ETH. But the thing is ETH. If ETH has a run now, you're going to get a multiplier. You're going to get a multiplier on a multiplier, and it's going to be insane. Fidens is 12%. VFriends up 38%. Obviously, you and I are both bullish on that project. Milady's 22%. It goes on and on and on and on. And it's all of these. These aren't anomalies. Doodles up 19%. Everything is rising optically because clearly there's a rotation into this stuff. VFriend Series 2, I think this is a good entry for a lot of people, especially if you're new to the NFT space, is just to get yourself a VFriend Series 2 because he's just building that out into a significant IP. The thing about this is, I know we have a bit of hopium. I know we look at these things and we're like, you know, we're hoping and wishing that these things go up. But the reality is it's happening right in front of our faces. Are there any kind of projects that you're looking at the moment, but anything that kind of interests you? I know that when we have Simon on, he's very bullish on Del Mondo's. But there any projects that you're looking at the moment? But I know there was a bit of chatter on the timeline around some of the stuff that's happening in World of Women. I didn't quite look at sort of much of that.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, what I want to say is I'm seeing some things on the timeline of, you know, people like Kobe, for example, in the space saying, you know, NFTs are picking up again, and that's the tweet. That's the tweet that they're putting out there, and I agree with it. In regards to specific projects, World of Women's a really interesting one. World of Women, we were discussing it actually in the founders chat. We were going over an interview that she did with a guy called Chin Sanity, kind of talking about V talking about her background and what she did at Pudgy and the plans for World of Women. Now, I actually think they're pretty exciting for a project that is, currently speaking, down 28-30% over 30 days and down probably a lot more over a longer amount of time. So I think there is a potential opportunity there. If this thing, like, if they keep going down, or even at the current price, it's 0.112 ETH, $270 is the floor. I have a feeling that, you know, with the things that she's pursuing, they're pretty ambitious. Now, the problem with being ambitious is I feel like they could fail, but at the same time, you wouldn't want her to be too I like that she's being ambitious with the and you know, really trying to go for it. Because I don't think at the moment, if she was to play it too coy, I don't think it would have much impact on the market, you know? Now, one thing I should say is, just like Gary, she is not paying attention to the floor price. She's not making these moves to push the floor price up. So you gotta always think about, you know, when we're talking about like Gary and we're talking about like they're not focused on the floor price, whereas someone like Luca Nets is, and someone like who's the Moonbirds guy?
Spencer,
yeah. They are more focused on the floor price as kind of like a validation metric for them doing good work. Whereas V and Gary, I don't think care.
Yeah, I think World of Women is different because it's very much mission driven. I think V Friends is mission driven, and they're different. I guess they come from different places. Obviously, World of Women is more about empowering females. However, they make a very small portion of the space, and obviously the traits in the characters. What people don't realize is that Gary's been talking about those traits in his content since like 2008. So this whole audience that kind of buy into these traits that he speaks about, like the patience and the kindness and ambition and all these different things, which now feature in the characters. People who just support him are going to gravitate towards the NFT. And I think World of Women has a similar sort of thing. The only thing with World of Women is it doesn't need to do anything. And I think it's almost like you can overdo things a little bit. You can kind of get too involved with it instead of just just being the arbiter of creating good community, instead of trying to because I don't know if you remember when we were in Minnesota, we went to that World of Women party. I don't know if you were there. I think Beeple was there. It was like that. It was that rooftop bar, and it was like a carnival atmosphere. But then obviously, like, hearing some of the stories of some of the parties they used to run, World of Women, I think they burned through a lot of money. This is obviously prior to V taking over. But you can see that there's a community building. When we went to Minnesota in 2022, the longest queue in that Minnesota Viking Stadium for any NFT project was Wilder Woman. The queue for Yam was fucking like, I won't say out the door, but it was the longest queue. And obviously, she had an impact on people. And the thing is, it's like there are a whole bunch of men in the space that want to support these female-driven projects, because I mean, like they want to show their support because there's a lot of bro energy. We need more females in the space. You know, it's like, I don't know if you have ever heard of some of the rhetoric in like the mid 90s when it was just men who were using the internet. And then there was this thing going around about it would just be men that would use it. But what ended up happening in Web 2 is that females became the biggest consumers. So they became the biggest brand spenders because the friction went, and they were like, oh, okay, now I know how it adapts to my life and I can use it. Actually, females kind of overtook men. And the same thing's going to happen with NFTs.
Yeah.
So the beauty or the strength of World of Woman is the fact that 50% of the audience isn't here yet. So it's like, and it's the first ever female project.
And look at their competition. Like that, I don't feel like there's much competition, is there?
It's like it should be like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, like, and look, if you go back to 2021, there were other female-led projects, and there still are. They still exist, but are they doing much? I mean, I know World of Women hasn't done, a tremendous amount, but World of Women, I would still say it's still in play. I would still say. Whereas if you look at some of those other female-led projects, they've kind of petered out, and they've kind of flatlined a little bit.
You remember the one we got into, which was Women and Weapons. I know you got into Flower Girls. But Women and Weapons, I mean, they haven't posted. They haven't posted in a couple of years. It's like, guys.
And this goes back to what we've touched on in previous weeks, which is, these founders weren't business people. They were artists first and foremost, and they didn't have the kind of and Bea says it in her interview. She says it bluntly. She says that exact same point, which is that these people don't have the business acumen to really build a business, like a successful business around these projects. And it's true. These artists aren't like, not all of them are ready to build a business, even want to build a business, or have the ability to build a successful business that could be one of the big players in the space for the next 2-3 decades. And I think that's why Gary has never really been stressed about VeeFriends, because he knew from the very beginning that he can build a successful business, and probably was looking around at his competition. And obviously, Gary's probably not actually doing this, but he probably was smirking a little bit to himself, because he actually probably was doing this because he was looking around and thinking, well, I'm the most successful person here in terms of business. Like, so look, when you look around at the other people who are trying to, build in the NFT space, and you're backing yourself, obviously, and you, from what you've been able to achieve over your career, like Gary's looking around thinking, like, how are people doubting VeeFriends when, like, I'm one of the biggest, probably the biggest player, the most successful businessman in the space. It's crazy.
The thing is, he's a weird one, mate, because he disqualifies himself.
Yeah,
it's a weird
true.
one. Like, he makes it harder for himself by not putting himself out there, because he wants people to underestimate him so he can shove it down people's throats. I see what he's doing. The thing is that the failure rate of this is so high. It's like the UFC, mate. It's like Kevin Rose failed. He couldn't do it. Kevin Rose is one of the most influential people in tech. I know he came up with Moonbirds, and it's now been, it's obviously now been sold to Yuga Labs and Spencer Ventures or whatever company he has. Ty Lopez is another one who's like a marketing guru guy. Tom Bilyeu is another one. These are guys who have come into the space. They pitch themselves as like these thoroughbred entrepreneurs, and they haven't been able to make it work. And I think the thing is that it doesn't matter how good your project is. If financial conditions are crushing you, it's just the way it is. It's like you're gonna get slaughtered either way. And I think just on the female-led stuff, I think female-led projects are, and we've got the first ever solo artist watching us at the moment, Victoria Vidandi, first ever
Yes.
solo artist on Ethereum. Guys, do me a massive favor, check her out. Her handle is Verdandi, Verdandi on X. She's got some really neat art, and she's been around for a long time, which is pretty cool. But the female-led stuff has an outsized advantage because at some point there's going to be females that come into the space, and also the males like to support the female-led projects. If you like, I get so many messages on LinkedIn from people about launching NFT projects or artists, and some of them are females, and like, there's no longer the thing of being a starving artist anymore. That's a thing of the past now. Just build a community, get them to care about you and the work and the story. Put your story out there, why you started, some of your adversity. People find it relatable, and then they want to get behind the underdog, and they want to support you. And that's a good place to start from. But there's going to be so many opportunities for people to, especially artists, to monetize their work, bake in a royalty. Looks like you've got something to share there, my friend.
Just something based. You obviously brought up the NFT market doing well.
Yeah.
Here's CoinGecko saying, $2.7 trillion has come back into the crypto market cap. Obviously, I don't really like these. You see a lot of these on the timeline, right? Especially in stocks, right, where you see the classic like $1 billion or $1 trillion has been wiped out of the stock market over the last 24 hours. They're a bit of they're obviously there for clicks and for engagement, but it's something kind of going hand in hand with NFTs. Well, nicely with anyone who holds NFTs, which is obviously if NFTs are up, as you said, certain projects up 20-30% over the last 30 days, and crypto's up. This is why we talk about NFTs so much, because the opportunity, the compound opportunity is crazy. If you buy a World of Women now, right, and then Ethereum goes up 2 or 3x, and World of Women starts putting out 2 or 3 things where it starts to light that fire again, and people start to pay attention to World of Women and want to get back involved and pick up some NFTs. You've got a potential chance where ETH could go up 2 to 3x, and you've also got the NFT that could go up, even crazier. I've seen NFTs go up 2, 3, 10x, 20x. If it's really like down in the dumps, and then it starts to execute well again. I don't know if that's going to happen with World of Women, but it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, World of Women doesn't really need to do anything. What was that Colby video that you had lined up for us? I know that he was talking about NFTs and stuff on the timeline. If you just get that up there, I really think that there's a whole bunch of people that are either not capturing the trend in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, or XRP, having some allocation in some of those. Obviously, for us people that are into NFTs, it's very difficult to hold these. But then also, I think people are playing, just from what I'm noticing on the timeline, not necessarily on X, but on different platforms, is they're getting pot committed to these assets in the middle, like these micro caps, meme coins. And even if they've got like a high mimetic ceiling or the technology is good, it doesn't necessarily lend itself to it being a good investment, because the math is against you. There's like 2 billion tokens. There's 2 billion tokens. So you're going to get into these micro caps. Obviously, there's a handful of battle tested blue chips. There's 2 billion tokens in the middle, and there's 274,000 NFT projects, of which I think 93% are not generating trading activity. I think there will be a liquidity pump, which rises some of them, but at least 6 or 7% of them are generating trading activity. Whereas with the coins, 99.9% have gone to zero, because there's nothing protecting your downside to zero. The thing protecting your downside to zero with an NFT is you still have the NFT, you still have the art, so you still have it because it trades like a physical asset. So, speaking to so many people at the moment around, people saying NFTs are just faddy, they're gambling, they're money laundering, they're all of these things, and it's literally the opposite. While simultaneously these people are holding other coins, I'm like, guys, this is just block space. It's all the same shit. Everything's just the same. They've just got different names. Obviously, and slightly different technologies, but it's all block space. Right, you got something to share here. Let's get it on them.
Yeah, this is the Kobe video that I was talking about. Let's just play it.
Go on then. Zoom in on it.
I've never known what the next thing is going to be, basically. Like, if you told me it would be pictures of apes in 2020, I would have been like, that doesn't sound like it's right. If you told me it was going to be like food farms in 2019, I would have been like, that doesn't sound right. So like, if you told me Frentech was going to take off, I would have been like, that doesn't sound right. And so I've never really known what it is. My own mental model on this stuff is like, crypto, you isolate your risk and you try everything. There's like, you try every novel thing. You don't try everything. If you try everything, you're chasing a bunch of forks and stuff, and like you end up in bad projects. But if there's something that's novel, instead of like trying to figure out why this won't work, you may as well just give it a go. If you do this with Hyperliquid, you ended up with a millionaire from the Hyperliquid airdrop. Same with Frentech. Same with like, you know, buying the ape pictures or whatever. When there's like a new thing that's happening, people's instinct is to go, this is stupid and this is dumb and this won't work for these reasons. And you just sort of need to invert that and go like, oh, what if this worked? Would that be cool? Maybe I'll just buy some of this stuff and see how it works, or maybe I'll try this product out or whatever. I mean, that's what I'm doing. Like every time I see something weird, I'm just giving it a go and trying to figure out if like that is a new thing that is going to be important.
That's a really interesting take. You see how he kind of changes it to, he says you should try everything, and then he says no, actually don't try everything, but you should try novel things that are new, that are interesting, that are innovating, that perhaps you don't think will be successful. Those are the things you should give a go on. Don't try everything, because that will lead you down, as he said, like going through forks, going through all these, you know, copycat coins or NFT projects that are copying each other. But if you try novel things, I mean, that's crazy. I didn't know that, you know, people who got into Hyperliquid early and got the airdrop would probably are probably millionaires now. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, the market cap's like 8 billion or something. Hyperliquid's insane.
Yeah.
And he's right in what he's saying. I think for a lot of people, there's a fatigue with just dilute, because what you can do, in fact, I think the biggest risk is diluting your capital allocation. So you go, I'm into all these different things, but I've only got like little bits in each of them. But actually, there's a few core bets here that people are just like locked in with. If it's NFTs, there's X copying people, in my opinion. If it's coins, it's just those battle tested blue chips: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Sui, Doge. Maybe obviously Sui's not been battle tested as a first cycle asset, but obviously Hype is doing well, BNB is doing well. I know that these kind of ISO tokens like Quant, HBAR. I don't know what the other one's called, but there's a whole bunch of them. And it's like we all know what the winners are, but then people like kind of either their risk appetite improves or they just get high on their own supply, like we did in NFTs. I mean, some of the things but I ended up last cycle in farming digital weed. I don't even smoke.
Yeah.
I was in a weed. I think the company was called LuxLab, and I think they've gone under now. But I probably lost the most amount of money on that. Also on the vein of sports passes. So it's like, but obviously with the vein of sports passes, you're buying into the name a little bit. And I kind of got sucked into that one. I think this type of conversation is really good for just people this cycle who will see things go up. And it's just like, guys, most of this stuff is going to come down again. But it's just about knowing which is the stuff that's been battle tested and will last multiple cycles. Which is why I like your play on the curio cards, because it doesn't need to do anything. You just capture. You've just captured the trend. You've captured the trend of us becoming more digitized. It's an Apple first ever art show or experimenting artists getting paid for the work. You're just capturing the trend by owning something historical. You don't need to do anything. Like, right, okay, I'll sit back, because you can't go back and recreate that kind of moment in time. Do you know what I mean? And I just think
World of Women's the same as well. World of Women. I mean, exactly you know, not like a historical project, but at some point, you know, really interesting conversation is the fact that at some point these 2021 projects will be viewed as historical projects. Yeah. And 2017 will be viewed as like archaic, like those are really like the early ones. But like World of Women at one point will, like, I mean, it's been 5 years now. You know, imagine if we get hit to another bull run that happens in this year or next year, right? And new projects start coming out. Well, a lot of people will make note of the fact that 2021 projects are superior than the ones coming out in 2026.
Yeah.
And as you said, World of Women doesn't have to do anything, but they have the cool thing with World of Women, I guess, is that they're the number one female-led project. And then obviously they don't have to do anything. They kind of are like a symbol already, but they are doing stuff. Whereas Curio Cards aren't. You know, Curio Cards is like this decentralized kind of like there isn't one person that owns Curio Cards. It's kind of like made up of, you know, the different artists and contributors like Travis. But World of Women are actually, you know, V's actually going to try and build a business, a successful business, and she's actually going to go for it, even though you would say that World of Women probably don't need to do anything. So it's kind of like you've got this twofold. It's quite nice actually, because it's like your downside feels a little bit protected, because over time, even if it like unless they completely royally fucked it, like even if they're unsuccessful, you'd still back them over the long term.
Well, this is the thing. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think World of Women could probably go the same route as kind of CryptoPunks, in the fact that they don't need to do anything.
Yeah,
they could just be like a kind of picks and shovels thing, where they just you know, just aggregate or just get more community members in, and just consider how they come across, and how do they encourage more females into the space, which I think would be an interesting one. Are there any other historical projects that you're looking at? Obviously, we went through a whole phase in 2021 of leaning into these historically significant ones. There's obviously like Mooncat, or you got the 3 cat projects.
Yes.
Which I think are really cool. You've got obviously Crypto Strikers, which was a big one. You've got Crypto Skulls, which is another one, which is the second ever 10K PFP. Technically, it's the third 10K PFP, but there's a derivative Pride Punks project and then a Crypto Bots project before that. But in terms of 10K PFP, it's technically the second. So are there any other ones that you're looking at, or are you just pot committed to Curio Cards at the moment?
I'm kind of pop committed. I mean, I've definitely owned crypto. I've owned Crypto Skulls in the past, but it was actually something that I basically just flipped. So when I got in it, I remember hearing like this. There was this Spaces, and I think it was I think it might have been Adam McBride and Gary V and a few others, and they were kind of discovering Crypto Skulls, and they were kind of like they were being wrapped at that point.
Yeah.
And they were just going crazy, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll buy 1 or 2 and see what I can do here." And ended up making like a tidy profit, but I didn't. I might have kept 1 to hold, but other than that, I think I eventually got rid of it, and I haven't got back in. But Crypto Skulls is something that I could see playing out potentially.
Yeah. Do you think
it's
anything
not something I'm
back?
tracking?
Do you think it's do you think there's anything that holds these other historical projects back? Because what we noticed in 2021 is that there were that everything, a bit like the coins, is everything rised optically. So you had when World of Women pumped, all the female-led projects pumped. Flower Girls, Women and Weapons. I can't remember. There were a couple of other, Boss Beauties. There's another one that I'm missing. So there's a couple of others. So they all rose optically. Then when the photography stuff went, that all went when Drifter Shoots was popping off, all the photography stuff popped off. Then when the fine art popped off, all of that popped off. Then it was like all the historical stuff. Then the IP play. So everything kind of popped off together, and everyone kind of followed the narrative. So it's kind of like, you know, I think with historical projects, you just need to pick one that you resonate with, because it's going to rise optically with the rest of the historical projects. So you don't need to overthink this stuff. Whereas I think what people do is they do the diversification thing instead of just going, which ones do you like? Because actually, if you like it, it lends itself to you wanting to keep it for much longer. And that's just a better place to be all round, isn't it?
Yeah, and which ones are you confident in as well? Like the reason why I'm so pot committed on curio cards is that I'm confident on it. I don't think that it's gonna like I think it's for sure gonna be up there in that when we're talking about historical projects, and so I don't think it's gonna get left in the dirt. And other historical projects are going to rise instead. I think if historical projects go up, curio cards is one of them. So when it's something like that, and then when you obviously with the way curio cards is, it's this card series of 1 to 30 different numbered cards, and obviously number 1 is obviously what if you go back to trading card culture, number 1 is like the first of a card is the first of a card is a rookie. I mean, technically, I guess they would all be rookies then, but the first card, the number 1 card, and kind of the story of that first 10 cards, I think makes one desirable, and that's why I've just been stacking them up.
But it's the apple, and apple in the Adam and Eve story is the start of I don't know my theology, but I'm not very. I don't want to give away that I'm not religious, but I'm not. It's the apple. It's the story of Adam and Eve when everything started, and now that's one of the first. I know it's not the very first NFT. I know it's not the first NFT sold on Ethereum. I know there's actually. I wanted to speak to you about this because there is a project that predates Curio Cards, and people actually wrongly think that Curio Cards was the first ever NFT project. However, there's one that predates it called Papyrium. Have you heard of that project?
No, I haven't. I'd love to know a little bit more.
There's one that there's a contract that predates it.
Is it to do with Pepe's?
Yes. There's one. There's a Pepe meme NFT token of Vitalik Buterin, which I think is the first ever one. I don't actually know too much about the project, and the reason why I don't know too much about it is because when you go into their Discord and you ask a question, it's like a remote Amazon tribe in there. Like everyone, mate, everyone just fucking dunks on you. I'm like, hey guys, just want to know a bit about the history. Oh, and then they start bringing up tweets I've made about curio cards, and then they take it all really personally. I'm like, guys, this is not tribalism. Like, you guys aren't realizing that for your project, which is so far down on the risk curve to get attention, the attention flows coming to CryptoPunks first. All of them are dunking on CryptoPunks. I'm like, guys, that doesn't make sense. CryptoPunks is the most popular project. Then people in CryptoPunks are going to go, oh, there's this project that predates it. There's Curio, and then I think there's 20 projects that kind of predate CryptoPunks on Ethereum. There might be a bit more than that. I know there's some stuff on Counterparty, and there's some early stuff on Doge. So there's loads of things happening in the historical community.
On their website, Papyrium says probably the first art collection on Ethereum.
Yeah, so they're probably
launched in March 2017. Yeah, they're trying to cover themselves, aren't they? Because they're probably thinking curio cards made the same kind of like claim, and
it's funny.
They disagree with that.
Obviously, I've interviewed Travis Uhrig, who was one of the co-founders of Curio Cards. I've interviewed him a few times. Great guy, and there's a video of him. I think there were the guys from CryptoPunks. I don't know what the name. It was something Labs. Was it? Is it Lava Labs?
Lava Labs. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name? So they were on stage and they were saying, "Well, we're the first ever NFT." And I think he's in the audience saying, "Just to let you know, I don't think you are because there's one that predates it." And this is like the meme where it's like got Keanu Reeves and he's like pointing the gun, and then someone else is pointing the gun at him, and then and everyone's pointing the gun at each other. Is that in the Matrix?
It's in the Matrix. Yeah.
So it's like, but then you've got Papyrium, who've obviously said, no, Curio Cards, you're not first. Curio Cards is saying to the CryptoPunks, you're not first. And they're probably just putting that on there to kind of cover themselves. But what I do find, and this is kind of just a message to everyone, is guys, don't buy into tribalism.
You get bogged down in the weeds of it. Like, if it's that fine of a difference, that means when people come to look back, they're not going to be like, okay, fuck curio cards, I'm only buying Papyrium. Like, if it's that close of a difference, I mean, some people will like Papyrium. I'm looking at the artwork now. Look,
I think it's sick,
and I'm sharing it, obviously.
how much is that glitch one selling for?
This glitch one here is 0.3 ETH, which is not bad.
When was the last sale of that?
That actually way less. It's 0.09.
Yeah, so I think you can pick them up like if you put offers on, because I think there was a
for
whale
sure.
who had a whole bunch of them. But these guys, these historical projects are so interesting. The thing I think with the cards, they don't necessarily signal as well as PFPs, and this
Yes,
is why
true.
they don't get the attention flows or as much attention.
Is
Yeah.
this meant to be Vitalik?
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Interesting. Is this the first one?
I think that's the first one, or there might be one with a KFC on it. I think the KFC one's the first one. Is that it
April
there?
14th. Yeah, that's it. April 14th.
Is it the KFC one?
Yeah, that must be it.
Mm.
The point is though,
yeah.
that KFC thing, even if this is the first one, I just think that the fucking Apple, it looks it is more
clean.
It's more like collectible.
Yeah.
It's more it's gonna hit for more people who are looking for historical NFTs. I don't think they're necessarily gonna be like, in love with all of these. But I think some people will be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I think people are going to collect it for its historical significance. I know that there were the crypto cards. Again, the cards don't really interest me, like pictures of cards and stuff. I don't, it's like with, like with curio cards, big fan of curio cards, except for the fact that I just want to own it because I want to own a piece of the history. But there are people that want to collect the whole collection, or they want to have all of them as the flex, or they want to get multiples of some, and more to those people. But I just think, I mean, there's another historical one called Panda Earth. I wonder if you can get that up on OpenSea.
Yeah.
It's got 2018 in brackets. This is a real interesting project, and I like sharing these because this is cool.
Yeah, here it is, Panda Earth. This is the one that you got kind of into, right? Back in the day.
So this is the first ever Chinese NFT project, and the devs closed the project, I think, because of some regulatory scrutiny. It was meant to be a play to earn game, and what it's turned out to be is the characters actually turned out to be good PFP characters. But when OpenSea, I think they did a refresh at some point, so half of the pandas are lost. So the metadata is lost, so you can't access them. So the supply is tiny. They're pretty cool little pandas, but also there was a certain percentage of the pandas that were associated to real life panda conservation.
Yes.
So there's a pretty, and that robot down there, I don't know if you've seen that. I've got one of those. I bought one of those robots ages ago.
Oh, really? This?
Yeah, I think it's so cool. It's such a cool little thing. But it's like these historical ones, they don't need to do anything. They've got these ironclad supplies. They're good little social signaling things. This is potentially first ever Chinese NFT. I think there might be, I think the devs of Mooncats or one of the cat projects were potentially Chinese. So that's why they don't actually explicitly say that on the, I think what are the other two cat projects? You've got Mooncats.
Mooncats.
I think
CryptoKitties.
CryptoKitties. That CryptoKitties was the one that had the Chinese dev team.
This is November 17th, 2017.
Yeah. So these early projects,
August 17th.
These early projects are significant, and Mooncats probably being the very first generative art on the blockchain, which is, people are going to collect that for its provenance, and people who just like cats. What's that beeping sound?
That's me. That's me. Watch listing all of these so I can keep track.
Oh, right.
Oh, here's one.
Here we go.
Strikers.
Okay, Wrapped Strikers. Burge, have you got any of these?
No.
Okay.
I do want to own some in the future. Mainly my boy Messi. But this is going to be ridiculously expensive.
What's the price of Messi there?
1.699.
Yeah.
That's
Do you
not-
see Gary bought one a couple of weeks ago? He bought
Yeah,
one.
wait.
He paid 1.7 ETH for it. If you go on activity, scroll down.
See if I can find it. This Matthew H guy, I see him collecting Cura cards as well.
Really,
This one.
Matthew H.
Yeah. Oh, here, Gennady.
Matthew H is in our group, mate. I think.
Oh, is he?
I think he is. Yeah, he's in our.
That would
founding
make a
group.
lot of sense. That would make a lot of
He's,
sense. To be
he's,
fair.
he's in our founding group, so it makes sense.
So let's have a look at this. So he when did he buy this? 3 months ago now. Is that about right, or is there one more recent?
Obviously, time in NFT land just
Yeah.
folds in half, doesn't it?
Yeah, when you said a few weeks ago, I was thinking I think you mean this one, because I do remember this one.
Yeah.
What,
How much did you buy that for?
$5,300? So you could buy it for less than him now. If you went on the market, you could buy
Gary
it
doesn't
for.
put offers in, mate. He doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't
that's
put
true.
offers. He doesn't put offers on stuff. There'll be a whole bunch of people that are watching this thinking, "What the hell is going on here?" But interestingly, this is the first ever NFT project, a sports NFT project. It's based on the most popular sport. It's got a limited supply. It has all of the top footballers in the collection: Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, Neymar, and then some of the mid-tier guys who have got like 50, 60, 70, 80 million followers on Instagram because they play for Real Madrid or Barcelona or these like top teams. And people don't realize the attention flows that these assets are going to get. And now we're going through a digital collecting phase. And these, you said a brilliant thing on another stream we did about it having eye appeal.
Yes.
It's like the thing in collecting. The thing in collecting is, do they have eye appeal? The artist behind this now has done some commission work for Eurosport, I think Nike, and I want to say Pepsi or Coca-Cola or maybe both. So he's a big Indonesian artist, and he specializes in this like whip up style art, which is like a unique type of art that's originated from Indonesia. He's now done the same run of iconics for VeeFriends.
Yes.
And these iconics sell for half an Ethereum, 0.6 or 0.6 Ethereum, because they did a special one-of-one run on these things. And now Gary's copied the iconics from this soccer collection. This means
Gary really thinks this is gonna be a big one.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's taking sports cards as the proof of concept. Yeah. Like the fact that sports cards are a thing and have been a thing in American culture for decades now. Yeah. He thinks that, and football being the biggest sport, the fact that this is the first sports project, and is it even close? There's not even anyone? Is there anyone trying to dispute that? No. I don't know of even any other. I don't even know many other sports projects. Period.
Yeah,
but
no. Well,
none that are historical.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue like there's Ether Lambos, which are like racing cars.
Yes, yeah, I'm not a big fan of them.
It's not quite the same. I had a message from someone to say that there's something on Namecoin, but I think it's just I think someone just posted their FIFA Messi card and then they just minted it or something. So it's not an actual collection.
Yeah.
But if you just go to the floor prices of some of these things, because obviously the difference with this collection is the fact that there is a real world value to the players. There's a real world value to the players because of how good they are at football. So these aren't characters. With characters, people just gravitate to whatever is good or whatever.
Like Marcelo is a legend. Mate, it's a legend. It's $154. It's like,
it's not changed your screen on the main thing.
Oh, sorry.
I'm still looking at the Messi. Yeah, there we go.
Keylor Navas, $93 is the cheapest.
But hold on a second. He's got 20 million followers. No one knows who the fuck he is. No one knows who that guy is. People outside of the UK don't actually realize how big soccer is. And also, the collectible markets or market for soccer is based solely in North America, and it's fifth. It's the fifth most collected item by sport. I think the first might be basketball, then it's like baseball, then it obviously goes through all the American sports, but soccer is 5th. Keylor Navas, no one knows who the fuck he is. I think he's a ex-goalkeeper for Real Madrid. He has 20 million followers. Who's the famous quarterback guy?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. He's got 14 million. Tom Brady has 14 million followers. Keylor Navas, if you've never heard of, has got 19 million followers. Just dwarfs anything. And
Marcelo would be way more.
yeah, Marcelo's got like 50 million. But the thing is, this is just attention that leads to buying flows. But these guys have bigger audiences than basically anyone. I'm just checking Marcelo on just checking
Neymar.
How are you spelling his name?
Marcelo is Marcelo.
Marcelo. Okay, here we go.
He's
got 68.3 million followers.
I mean, he was a stalwart for Real Madrid. He was one of the best left backs.
It just looks like he's in full-time content at the moment.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
is it crazy? Like, but the thing is with this, because the project's so illiquid, is you can put offers on this stuff.
Yeah.
You can put offers on this stuff.
Let's have a look at like activity. Like here, someone's won a Neymar. Someone bought a Neymar for $290. Let's call it $300. Whereas
and they were
the
selling
lowest
at
one
5
listed
in
is
the bull market.
yeah. Whereas the lowest one listed is $1,200. So someone bought it for a quarter of the price of the lowest listed by just putting offers in because they're so illiquid and people want to cash out eventually. Here, Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah.
That could be a good one.
Yeah.
That's you, isn't it?
I didn't think you were going to cotton on. I didn't think you were going to cotton on. I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to cotton on.
I thought it's the fact that both of them sold to the same person. I thought, hold on a second, because I just had a look at your mutant and I found your mutant and how much you paid for it, so I knew it was your wallet.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, mate. It's
Collecticon. I know this. Who's Collecticon? I know that person. They must be in our group as well.
Yeah, go over to World of Women.
This is Amit. Is it? No, it's Constantine. Constantine.
Is it?
Yeah, and look, he's buying them up as well.
Yeah. Well, what we'll do is we won't dox people's wallets or anything, even though it is on a public thing and anyone can check it. But just for the purpose of the show. But flick over to World of Women. Let's have a look at some of the pricing action that's happening over there, and then we can just flick around some of these projects. We can go on to mutants.
World of Women is really interesting. Like you go and look at like, it doesn't really show it super well here, but I want to show you here the floor price. I wonder if I could take off the list, the bubbles of the list.
Just see if you can see. It says a year. Filter it by all, or filter it by a couple of years if you can. Now, when V came into as CEO, you might be able to see it on the date because there was a huge floor spike. It nearly went up to like 1 Ethereum because obviously the news was going around that she was, ex-Pudgy Penguins, she'd help them with a successful raise. So it was really bullish. And I think people kind of vote with their wallets for these sorts of things. But this is a good project, mate. 0.112. 0.112 is insane.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a good one. This is a good one just to practice on.
I stuck it on a year just because you can still see the line. I hate these bubbles. I kind of just want the floor price. So I don't know why it's forcing me to see both. But this is really interesting. So you got this time last year, it was 0.4 Ethereum. And obviously I remember that when the strategy token came out, which would have been somewhere towards the late part of last year, it was still about 0.4, 0.3 Ethereum. And it's tumbled a significant way. I mean, obviously, it went down to 0.28, 0.27. And it's really interesting, actually. I actually ended up buying free. I think I was farming for the OpenSea token.
Yeah.
And I ended up buying free. I wonder if I can filter onto the ones I owned. No, I don't think I can. Owned by you. No, it's not going to work. Well, I ended up buying them, and I ended up selling out at a loss. I think it was like $70 per NFT loss.
Right.
Because I just I didn't want the risk of holding them, and the floor had started to collapse. And I was actually wrong, I think, in the end, because I do think they rebounded, but poor, they are down a significant way since then. I wonder if I should just look it up.
Just but we can
activity.
we can we can flick off that one. Well, let's get on to mutants. Let's have a look at some of the mutant stuff.
But let me just see here. So at the time, I bought these three. As I said, I was trying to flip them and farm the C rewards.
Right.
So I bought these for $1,000 each. So $3,000. I sold them for $950, and I took about a $50 loss on each of them. And then you go back to World of Women, and they're now selling at $260. So they're down 25% of what they used to be.
Crazy.
They're a quarter of what they used to be. They feel like a play, to be honest. I've written here on my piece of paper, buy some WoW. I've also put bet on interest rates.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you want to look at? Mutants.
Mutants. Yeah. Let's have a look at the mutants, because they've basically done an absolute missile. Do you know what? That first one, I thought, shit, that's mine. Listed. What's going on? I've been robbed.
Is it close? Let's have a look at the. Well, let's check it first. See if it is yours. No, it's not. Gambling addict.
Mine's the same, but it's got eyes.
Listing and floor price. You can see here. Oh, this is just over the last 7 days. Let's put it to the last 30.
1.38.
Cool. Look at this. 0.7 ETH.
Yeah.
Only a month ago.
Does it say the dollar amount on there?
It doesn't. But what I reckon you could do. Screw it. Let's just manually do it.
These are just a given, because I think the thing I like about
actually
Bored Ape Yacht Club, I think is going to be locked in as one of those modern or contemporary historical projects, because it was kind of like the Pepsi moment to CryptoPunks Coca-Cola, if you know what I mean. It was kind of like, you had CryptoPunks, and there needed to be like another counter to that, or another countercultural movement. And then obviously you had the apes. But if you speak to anyone outside of NFTs, you say, right, name me an NFT project. Most of them say, oh, you mean the ape pictures? And you're like, oh, okay. So basically, Bored Ape Yacht Club is synonymous with the space. And I think there'll be a lot of people that come in. These at 0.6, 0.7 a couple of months ago is insane. Or it's insanity, because I think they're just a given. They've got too much mind share. But if you bought one of these and you put it on the timeline and you tagged in Welcome to the Apes, and you tagged in Bored Ape Yacht Club, you would have a shit ton of people following you and messaging you.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
And it went, and this is the price you probably like that was back then 3 weeks ago. 0.7 ETH, $1,400, or 0.8-ish, 1,600. So you're paying about $1,500 for a mutant. It's now sitting at 3,300. It's gone up 2x.
Yeah, so it's done a 2x. But the thing is,
and the ETH hasn't moved. If
ETH hasn't moved,
yeah.
If ETH moves, you're like, oh shit. So we've had that flush out, which I think was really healthy. But I think people outside the space don't realize is the multiplier effect. The multiplier effect of these assets going up in price. Flick over to VFriend Series 2, bud, because I think this is a good one for people to have a look at. This is a good risk-adjusted one for people to have a look at.
Here it is, VFriends Series 2. Lowest listed, $200. Last sold? Me! I've sold. So you know what I've done here? The reason why I'm selling off these Series 2s, it's painful because I don't want to actually sell them, but I want to accumulate and buy a Series 1. I think
Have you not got a Series 1?
No. So when I sold my gift go and made the play into Punk Strategy as well as other things, that was my last series 1. And I think right now the ratio between how many series 2 it takes to make a series 1, as in if you sold, let's say 10 or 15 series 2, you could buy a series 1. That ratio I think is low right now. As in, I don't think you need that many series 2 to make a series 1. Whereas historically, I think it used to be about 20 to 1. Now it's about 14 to 1. So I've taken that as a sign. I'm selling off some of my series 2. And I didn't sell this at the floor. I sold this slightly above the floor. So I got paid for the trait a little bit. And I'm going to accumulate, and I'm going to buy a series 1 as well as an Apple. Fucking Tay bought his first Apple. Great for him. I'm looking now. He's still got an offer on there. Fuck you, Tay. Fuck you. In this live stream, I've placed an offer higher than yours. So just wait. I'm gonna put in the chat. Just picked up my 14th Apple, and he's gonna be like, "How do you do that? I was the highest offer." You lose, buddy.
Get curio cards up, mate.
Curio cards is fucking sick. Curio cards, bro. Now,
so the thing with this sort of projects, obviously, like you and I and a few of us have obviously got Constantine in our private group. He's been the community lead there. He knows the historical stuff inside out. I think Gary really likes him for that sort of thing because he knows it inside out. Interviewed the founder. The lore of this project is really interesting. Obviously, it predates CryptoPunks. It's not going to be CryptoPunks, but it will get the attention flows because people will go, "Oh, where did this all start?" Not necessarily that it started with curio cards, because you know that Papyrium predates it, except this is the first ever art show or experiment in artists getting paid digitally for their work. And that is
that's a big deal.
That's what the entire space is built on top of. So this project is the first ever experiment in artists getting paid digitally for their work. And it was the first way that they raised money for artists. And that's what the entire space is built on top of. And there's obviously the first 1 to 10 are a collection in itself because it takes you through a passage in time. There's 7 different artists. I think there's about 5 or 6 different pieces of artwork. Like there's a Giphy, there's a handwritten drawing, there's a, I think there's an animation. That's the animation.
Yes, Eclipse.
The
final one.
The ant farm drawing, which is really interesting. That was hand drawn. But it tells a story. It tells a story, and it takes you through a passage in time. And obviously, number 1 being the apple, which signifies the beginning of something with Adam and Eve. But
here it is.
What they did was very clever with the way that they manipulated the supply. Because if you look at, I think it's number 22 or 23. There's only 250 of them available. I don't know if you can see it on there. I don't know which one it is. So what they're saying is for people who want to collect this whole collection, you're not going to there's only 250 possible people that can collect it. And I think there's only a possible, because of lost wallets and those sorts of things, there's only a possible 106 full collections available. And interestingly, I don't know if it's this one because I can't actually see, but interestingly, they manipulated the supply in a way to say not everyone's going to be able to get the whole collection, but also the lowest supply one sold out first. Because people raced to buy that one, so they knew they could lock in the rest of the collection, which I thought was very clever. The other thing is Xcopy also applied to have his artwork feature in this collection, and it was rejected. It wasn't rejected, but I think they were going to get him on a second run. But they're kind of like, they were just taking in work from artists. And I think the lore of that, the fact that Xcopy didn't feature in this collection, I think is somewhat interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think that, the fact that he was declined to be, imagine if he had been in this collection, this would have been like blockbuster. This would have probably been your favorite collection. You're a massive Xcopy fan.
Yeah, I am, but I think it's kind of like, probably just adds to the lore of it. The storytelling of, no, he didn't get in. And that adds to the storytelling of it. Like, I think the thing that probably not hold the collection back, but you can't socially signal it as well. Obviously, Beeple has drawn the apple. Beeple does a lot of unspoken implication in his art. And what he does is he does a little treasure hunt. So you see a chromey squiggle every now and again, or you see an apple pop up and you're like, it's because he's very in touch or in tune with what's happening with the space. But the apple, I think, is the iconic one. I think you having fucking 105 of them probably is
Not quite that many, but I am stacking them. Heavily.
The thing is, if you just got those, the question then becomes is, why would you buy anything else? You don't need to buy any other historical project, because you're already capturing the trend of the historical genre.
That's where I'm at.
You know, it's like you can, but if this plays out for you, this will be a big thing. This would be a big thing.
So one thing I should caveat as well is that these there are some that are in inactive wallets that have maybe over the last few years become active, and there's some that have that weren't wrapped to OpenSea that have been wrapped. So the reason why I've been picking up these apples is really interesting. So if you go to activity and you click mint, a lot of people get worried here when you click just mint, not sale. They get worried because they see this one guy, Mesrogi, just minting a shit ton of these. He's minted, I think, it's not showing the date for some reason at the moment, but let me see if I can scroll. Oh yeah, here it is. So he's minted 2 or 3 weeks ago, he minted 11. Then 3 weeks ago, he minted 11 again. 3 months ago, he minted another 11, minted 11 at the same time. Then 3 years ago, he minted 44.
How many?
So people are wondering, like, how is he minting these things? And they get a bit confused. Now, to kind of explain it, he essentially had a bunch of these unwrapped. And I think he either deliberately kept them unwrapped or has just got round to wrapping them recently. But the idea is essentially when he wrapped them and then he sold them off. But when he didn't have them wrapped, they weren't showing up under the supply on OpenSea. So essentially, it was artificially keeping it lower than it should be.
Yeah.
Now, really interesting is this 11 that he's just minted is the final 11 that he has. Right. So that's it for Mesrogi. Now, there could be other people, and there probably is other people that hold these unwrapped, but
last I counted, last I saw there were 1,800 of these apples.
Yeah, I'm actually frustrated right now because Ben has a perfect dashboard that he made with AI. That is a really cool thing to show that really easily shows it. And right now I can't find it. It's the link isn't working.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Just head over to Crypto Skulls, bud, which is another historical project. This is one. It's being billed as like the second. Just on that apple, just so people know.
Yeah, actually here.
Yeah.
This is a pretty. I don't know if this is fully up to date. But
2,154 remaining supply.
That's the total supply, but there's 960 that are in inactive wallets, and 1,193 are in active supply. I think right now we are hitting the end of that kind of like all of those. Like right now on OpenSea, it's saying 1,070 have been wrapped. So most of that active supply is now wrapped. But obviously, if an inactive wallet becomes active again, there's a chance that this supply that they end up getting diluted, and that's kind of, I guess, the risk with the Apple is that there's only 2,000, that there's 2,150, so it could double it effectively. What was the one you were talking about? The Barbarian 23. So I was on the wrong one. I was on the Bar. Before,
right. Okay. The Barbarian is the 2 and
Education 111, 111.
That is interesting. The thing with the apples, you think that we're probably going to get 10 times the demand in the space potentially. So we're going to have a crazy moment. The Apple went to 23 Ethereum when ETH was at near all-time highs. It was like 75,000 for an Apple, and now you're picking it up for a couple $100. That, to me, the asymmetry in that is absolutely crazy. But just flick over to Crypto Skulls.
Yes, Crypto Skulls. Back we go.
This is an interesting one. The reason why I think out of all of the historical projects, and by the way, I got onto this before Gary did, before he blew it to the moon, had nowhere near enough exposure. But the thing that catches me with this is firstly that kind of 8-bit Atari gaming art, which I think gives a bit of nostalgia to it, but also the fact that it's a face and people use it as their digital identity and use it for social signaling.
Yes.
I like the clean block colors. So whether it's the same, like see that orange one there?
Yeah.
I like getting the clean block colors because it just looks better. But these I think these are going to make, these went to 4 Ethereum last cycle.
These are probably the only kind of like PFP-able historical project.
Yeah.
You know, like I know you can. I've seen other people PFP curio cards. I've seen other people PFP the Papyrium stuff, but these are the only ones that like really make sense in my opinion. Like the others are kind of like doesn't really work as a PFP. It's kind of forced. But this actually is so. I remember like on that Spaces, I started seeing people changing their PFPs to these skulls, and it was like this whole tribe of historical NFT collectors. I mean, obviously there was a bunch of flippers in there as well, myself included, but a bunch of, and I've connected with someone in the UK who's like a crypto skull ambassador, and they've got a group. There's a community there for sure.
Yeah. Project I'm very bullish on. Obviously, I've got a few of these. But just flick over to Good Vibes Club. I know we've got a few folks, to the 87 of you. Really appreciate you diving in. No Simon with us today, so we're just flicking through the NFT projects, the ones that we're kind of bullish on, because clearly there is a upward trend in NFTs at the moment. Would really appreciate you sharing the stream. In fact, we'll probably go for another 10, kind of 15 minutes. But really appreciate you being a part of it. If you ever want to get the recording, you can do on carrotlane.com. If you go on to, if you in fact just click the link in my bio and it will take you there. There's a free newsletter. Pop your email in. You'll get all of the updates. But also, if you ever miss a stream or any of the stuff that we cover, you can listen to it in podcast form, and that gets sent straight to your inbox. So make sure you're part of that. And obviously, it's your way of supporting the newsletter. Really appreciate it. So what we got here, Good Vibes Club. Obviously, interviewed the or one of the founders, Tyler Gio. I think this is a good project. I think this is going to be one to watch out for this cycle. This is going to be one that it can go. This can go to 10 ETH, mate.
Yeah, I mean, look, you buy this a month ago, it's not up tremendously. It's up to $200 or $300. You bought this at the start of the year. I think it's a different story. They were at 0.4 ETH, but I guess the problem is, that's the thing. If you bought it at the start of the year, potentially ETH was a lot more. Let me see here. 3 months ago, I don't know why he paid so much for it 3 months ago. So he's actually down. He's down actually 50%. But I think he paid over the odds 3 months ago. Obviously, the strategy token had a big impact with these. These were up to 0.8 ETH. They're now sitting at about 0.6 ETH. So they've regressed a little bit. But let me see if I can find one here that has a sale. No, these are all core. I mean, I'm looking at these. Core people hold on to these and they're not exactly flipped. On the first
they've got a real low supply, haven't they? What's the total supply? Is it like 5,000 or something?
Let me just check. Let me see if I can find one.
I think it'll be on the main page.
Yeah. It's 7,000.
Right. Oh, it's chimpers
that have 5,000. But then someone's burned one.
Right. Okay. So I think it's I think the art's cool. I like the effort they put in. I like the founders. They're very likable, and actually they live the DNA that you see through the community actually comes through the founders. Very soft, very warm. 2 brothers. They already have a successful business. I like what they've done with the strategy token, adopting it as their native token. It's a lot of self-awareness there. One of the things Tyler said to me on a phone, well, on a live stream interview, was they're not trying to create a Solana runner. They're not trying to create a, whereas all of these NFT projects are trying to create the next meme token. Whereas actually, if you just stay in your lane, you understand who you are, and the strategy, the flywheel strategy, or the perpetual flywheel of buying, market buying your own token, so it generates fees, so then it buys up the NFT. I think is such a good way of doing it because it keeps the value retained in the ecosystem. But this is definitely going to be a project that cooks, in my opinion, just because they had that huge shot in the arm with the token world strategy token. They had like 650 of these things in a treasury. I don't know how many are left in there.
I want to segue. I know we're going to wrap things up shortly.
We're going to just while we're on OpenSea, we can go on that, and then we can close things up. But just dive onto Chimpers, because I know that there's a few people who are in this community.
Chimpers. Chimpers is a big one, actually. I wanted to share something just before we do that. I wanted to also share this Chimpers tweet. Now, I know for most people, this isn't. If you're not familiar with Chimpers, you might not understand what this is, but just shows what they're doing here. They're talking about chimpins, which are like kind of like digital pins. Maybe there's physical ones as well, where a bit like Good Vibes Club, they're like the badges system, where they're trying to kind of, gamify the collecting experience and getting involved. So it says, where from the traits that you hold to holding physical collectibles, it will help you basically collect chimpins. And their website, the website that they built, I wonder if I can show that actually. Chimper World. It's crazy. Like it really is monumental what they've done. No, that's not working at the moment. Let me just
I know you're diving around there. Let's just have a look at OpenSea quick and have a look at some of the price action just for people who are collecting the collection. I don't know if that's there. Yeah, here we go.
This is the one.
Because they've obviously bridged some of the assets to a new contract and a royalty enforced contract. Is this the one that we're looking at?
Yeah, this is the one.
Okay. What's the floor price on that? 0.49. How many are there? 3,500, does that say?
Yeah, so originally it was this Chimpers Legacy.
Yeah,
but not all, but obviously a lot of these haven't been
yeah, because I think they were incentivizing them with $1,000 worth of Chimpster token. But this is a real interesting one, and the reason why I think this is an interesting one is because they were the last hype mint of 2022, right in the eye of the storm. They did well, but I really like the way that they managed that process because they didn't spend the money. They kept it within the business. And now what they're doing is they've really leaned into the content and the attention side. And if you look across their social media platforms, they're the most followed Web3 company. Now, if they can turn that into some kind of collectible that people buy the physical, but I think, and I don't know if you saw the live stream with Spencer and Gary. Gary said, listen, you guys have got time. And the biggest mistake that people are making is that they're doing these deals with Walmart, and it sounds good on the timeline. They're selling all of these products, but there's no connection because there's no story associated to the characters.
Yeah. And the thing is, if they do go to Walmart, actually the reality of it is that they're not big enough to actually sell out at Walmart. They're not across multiple different stores across the country of America.
But it's like what you said about the eBay sales. It's like all you got to do is look at, okay, how do we know people care about this? If people are buying it on secondary, then you look at the eBay sales. VFriends is like got tens of thousands of listings, and Pudgy Penguins, which arguably the NFT floor price is much higher, and people are, if you're using that as an index or a sentiment signal into how people are thinking about it. But when you look at the reality, you're thinking, hold on a second. They're not selling those Pudgy Penguin plushie toys on eBay, really. So do people care about it, or do they just see it as cute toy they're giving someone for Valentine's Day. I don't know.
Exactly. That's the thing. You were talking about stories. You've got a little bit of stories here that these guys are building. I mean, 6-part adventure, and you've got more Ancient Chronicles. So this is actually really cool. I knew about the website they were working on.
Yeah,
But this is actually super cool. Like they're building out some of the stories here. It's a really cool website of like how they've done it. Explore. You can see the character evolution, how the art evolved. So they started out as pixelated art, as generative mints. In fact, I'll show you one on OpenSea. That is the Chimpers Genesis collection with the named Chimpers. This is what the art used to look like. These are obviously the special ones that were each named. This is what the art used to look like. They've now they've subsequently changed the art to this, which is more what their social media, their Web 2 kind of following.
It's almost like what VFriends did. Obviously, they had the pixelated one as their Genesis, and then
so 100 one-of-ones, each with a name and a backstory, and then they did a 5555 generative mint. So Gary should be a massive fan of this project. I mean, that's his favorite number.
I asked him if that was a head nod to Gary, and they just said no.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I don't think it is. Chimpy and Kawaii social media mascot is born. So this is massive. Chimpers on social media is crazy.
Yeah.
And then just March 2026, they brought in the Kawaii art.
Lovely.
Very cool.
Right. Folks, to the 96 of you listening, I really appreciate you joining us.
Last one.
Yeah, let's go. Hold
Tom
on.
Lee.
I'll let you dive in. I'll let you dive in. Just a reminder that we're back every Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern time. You can get the recording over on carrotlane.com. You can hit the link in my bio and it'll take you straight there. It's free to join. But then you can if you miss any of the live streams or anything, any of the stuff that we cover, you can listen to it in podcast form, on the go, all that sort of stuff. Burgie boy.
Here we go. So this is Tom Lee. Now, obviously, we've brought him up a few times. I think Simon thinks this guy's a bit of a muppet. And he's definitely said some questionable things in the past. But here's a really interesting clip.
Now, if you actually think it's undervalued by that extent?
Well, we think the best
2019.
approach for most people is just to put 1% or 2%.
Are you saying that? I get that if you're somebody who's got a lot of assets.
He's talking about
I still think it's
Bitcoin, not
crazy.
Ethereum.
But for a retail investor, somebody who's saving for retirement and putting that aside, that seems crazy to me.
Well, it's basically the idea that you can afford to lose 1% if that's 1% of your portfolio.
That's crazy. You might as well throw it away on high fees to an investor, to an average like this. You're taking a flyer on that. You don't know where it's going to go or what's going to happen.
Well, in a way, that's right, Becky. That for the majority of people, it's 1% is like a small risk bet. But Bitcoin makes all of its gains in 10 days in a year. I think this is an example that if you exclude the 10 best days, Bitcoin loses 25% a year. So you gotta essentially hold it or hodl it, as they say, to really capture the gains.
I mean,
you actually think
he's actually on the money here, like straight up. Like, and the bit that wasn't mentioned in the thing was the reason why this kind of whole post was made was, he says, back in 2019, when it was $5,000, he says, we think the best approach for people is to put 1 or 2% into Bitcoin. And obviously, the host, as you heard there, says, I think that's crazy. That's ridiculous. Like, you might as well just spend it on fees. Morgan Stanley this year has come out and said, we recommend a 7% allocation into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think for people who are into crypto, just think this is the most obvious thing ever. And obviously, those kind of traditional finance folks have this view of it. It's interesting. I was in the gym the other day, and a girl wanted to use the bench press I was on, and I said, okay, you're free to jump on. And I said, so what do you do? She says, I'm a financial advisor. She does like tax planning and all these different things. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And as you start speaking, you start understanding that her clientele are like 50 plus or 55 plus, which is fine.
Yes.
And then but it gets you asking, well, why are younger people kind of leaning into these things, and why are you? And the reality is that in any of these TradFi assets, which I assume that news anchor was comparing it against, you don't get the escape velocity. So it's like, yeah, you can get 7, 8, 9% a year, and you can think over a long-term time horizon, but people don't have, because wages haven't gone up on a nominal basis, but the cost of everything's gone up. So people are kind of just cutting back on things, and it's difficult for people. It is difficult for people, and this is why people are going for the exponential asset of crypto, because it goes up to such high levels, and all you have to do is stay one cycle.
Yeah.
If you stay one cycle, you kind of get there or thereabouts, because there's always a new wave of adoption. It's like, if you've ever read like anything about mass adoption theory, and also how like everyone knew that everyone was going to speak English at some point. I know it's not the most spoken language. I know Spanish is and all that sort of stuff, but let's just go with the example. Everyone knew, but it's just going to take time to get it out there. In the same way that everyone knows that everyone's going to hold Bitcoin, it's just going to be a thing. It's just taking some time to get it out there because there's friction around technology, internet access.
But the one that, like, I went to the Bored Ape meetup actually recently in London, and the most entertaining conversation to have is crypto has played out. Like when we meet up, we talk, you know, we feel like obviously crypto still needs to go like mainstream, but it's the acceptance is there. NFTs is that one where people still can't wrap their head around it.
Yeah, but
Even
it's where
some
people
in the
were in
crypto world.
2012 to 2017. It's the same place people were at with Bitcoin. They had the same allergic reaction. And then you just go to guys, well, guys, it's all the same stuff. It's all just block space. But actually, the NFT block space is more valuable. It's the first use case is art, and because there's a contract layer, it does more. And actually, it's the first time people are interacting with the technology without talking about technology. I don't know if you ever saw that post with Punk6529. He's like, the technology gets consumerized when consumers stop talking about the technology. And when you buy an NFT, it's like, oh, this one's cute. I like the hat. I like the cigar in his mouth. I like it, blah, blah, blah. And then it might be all the contract layer. Maybe there's a utility. Maybe there's a royalty. Maybe it's a claim for a physical asset. Now, all of a sudden, you're not talking about technology. You're just interacting with it. And I think the purest form of interaction in crypto is NFTs. And it doubles up. That Steve guy wrote that everything token book. It's spot on. It is an everything token. It does everything. It solves scarcity. It's got the art. The thing that people don't realize is it's got the art layer. I did a video. I did one of those green screen videos on a tweet, and there was a milady in the profile picture, and it was a provocative tweet, but it was like, it was meant as a bit of a joke, the tweet, and I read it out on the green screen, and obviously it turns into rage bait for these people on Instagram. I'm getting abused, but there's a whole bunch of it ended up getting nearly 300,000 views. This green screen,
wow!
But the profile picture was a milady, and there's a whole bunch of people going, "Oh, that's an NFT. That's a milady's NFT or milady maker or whatever it is." And obviously, I'm not big into the project, but that's the attention flows that the art layer gets. Whereas, how many times have you or anyone listening, when they've been up in crypto, have taken a screenshot of their balance? Like everyone.
No.
What I have, and I've kept it in my camera roll because I thought, fuck me, I'm now an investing genius. I'm now an investing genius. I've sussed it all. And then you take a screenshot because you don't want to be a douche and post it on social media. But you can do that social signaling element through NFTs. And then all of a sudden, because of the way people organize around the asset, you have a built-in friendship. I mean, look at us, bud. We've met through NFTs. We went to a meetup around an NFT project, wasn't even organized by the project. It was just a thing that obviously you organized, and we all got together. And then, you know, we've had a couple of those. We had the one and it's just like people are organizing around these things. And because we're spending more time online, there's more social connection. There's more social connection. And they're just going to matter more than coins. There aren't people who are holding mid-cap tokens going to meetups.
That's true.
They're not.
That's
and then
true.
if you look at the data on how many people only hold one NFT in each collection, now that one NFT becomes impossible to let go of, because you don't want to sell out the community that you've had meetups with.
Yep.
You feel like a part of your soul has left you when you sell these things.
I mean, Bored Ape was holders only. Like most of these top projects are the CryptoPunks Discord, holders only. You know, like, I mean, you can join the CryptoPunks Discord if you don't hold a CryptoPunk. You don't get access to the channels. You're just stuck in kind of this like limbo, cut off from everyone else. You have to be a holder to actually be part of that Punks Discord. I don't think that Punks Discord is necessarily super active. I don't know, but because I've never been a holder. But Bored Apes is a great example. Bored Apes, you know, is very, you know, holders only, because they don't need to be. Pudgy Penguin's the same. They don't really need to cater to people who aren't holders, and because of that, it then puts this real big emphasis on maintaining being a holder, which, as you said, means people are going to hold those NFTs. It's going to become extremely hard at some point to get your hands on a Bored Ape or a Pudgy Penguin in the future.
Just do me a massive favor, bud. Just before we close for today, just have a flick over on Substack to see if there were any questions on there. Folks, we answer the questions on Substack. Those are people who are subscribed to the newsletter. You will get, if you're subscribed to the newsletter, you get all of my research, also all of the recordings, and you can listen to them in podcast form. Really worth it. Just hit the link in my bio. Was there anything there? Obviously, if there wasn't, we can kind of move on.
There's nothing on Substack at the moment. I've asked a question. Here's an interesting headline: Emirates plans to start accepting Bitcoin payment for flights this year.
Yeah,
and a bunch of stuff on the timeline about Trump everything. I mean, Trump. Here's something crypto related. Trump, I'm ready to sign the crypto market structure bill soon in front of world leaders. This could open the door for trillions in new capital to enter the market. And basically, he's basically saying, he said this at Davos, and he's saying that he wants America to be the crypto capital of the world. He signed the Genius Bill already, and now he wants to sign a new bill as well to help crypto. Interesting.
Lots of stuff happening. Burgie boy, thank you for diving in. Thank you for your eagle eye on basically all of the projects and the stuff that you do. Really appreciate it, folks. To the 100 of you that have joined us, really appreciate you diving in. I think the next couple of months are going to be an amazing opportunity for a lot of people. Hopefully you can kind of come along for the ride. But until next week, where Simon joins us again, we'll catch you then, and I really appreciate it. Burge, thanks for joining. Cheers, pal.
Take care.
See you guys.